2, I'd like to call the Senior Center Building Committee meeting to order. I have to read off a little something here. Pursuant to Governor Baker's COVID-19 orders superseding certain provisions of the open meeting law of Chapter 30A, Section 18, imposing strict limitations on the numbers of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Senior Center Building Committee is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. Members of the public who would like to participate in the meeting via Zoom can do so by clicking on the link that you see on the screen. Members of the public who would like to listen in on the meeting while in progress may also do so via telephone by dialing 1-646-558-8656 and enter the meeting ID 873-4112-0597. Then press the hashtag mark and press the hashtag mark again at the next voice prompt. Members of the public attending this meeting virtually will be allowed to make comments if they wish to do so during the portion of the hearing designated for the public comment by following the steps previously noted, then press the *9 on their telephone keypad using the raise hand function on Zoom. This will notify the host that the caller wishes to speak. In the event that despite our best efforts, we are not able to provide the real-time access, we will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as we are able. Thank you, John. All right, I'd like to call the order. When I read your name, just say present. Teresa Manganelli.
Present.
Diane Allen.
Present.
Terry Marciello.
Present.
Paul Malorani.
Present.
Greg Bendel.
Present.
Jack Holloway.
Present.
Myself, George Hooper. All right. So tonight, I might take something out of order here. Next item on our agenda is the discussion of proposals to provide for the feasibility study and the schematic design of the new senior center. We were fortunate enough to have 12 firms that applied. We all had the opportunity to review them, and we were tasked with to come up with a short list. If we could identify 4 of our preferred firms, we would next interview these at our next meeting. So what I'll ask each one of the members is to have to go through and read off the list of 4, and then I'll ask Dan Pilata, our OPM, to review those firms because he's done the reference checks on those. Everybody had the opportunity to review the 12 firms?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Everybody come up with a list of their top 4?
Yes.
Maybe 5. Now, I don't need you to rank them. I don't need you to say this is my very first one, this is my second one, and I don't need you to provide any real reasons why. If we'd like to discuss this after the fact, we can, and I'm expecting that our OPM will provide us some information during his reference check, and we can also ask some questions of him. I know that we are not all expertise in the architectural design field, but I thought that some of those presentations were very helpful. So I will lead off. John O'Neill will keep track through the matrix that he has in front of you. And the 4 firms that I came up with was Catlin, BHA, Dietz and Company, T12. Those are my top 4. I do have one in addition in case we come across any problems, but that was my top 4. Mm-hmm. I'll ask Diane Allen if you could provide
Oh.
your,
Okay, in no specific order, I have BH plus A. I have Caitlin. I have Dietz. And I have T2. And I really had a tough time here because some of them I had ranked about the same. I'd like to just throw in there Kalo and Beinik. I think that's the way you pronounce it. Kaolo and Beinik.
Kalo, yeah.
Halo and Beanick.
Beanick. Okay, yeah. Only because I had some equal points there.
Sure. Jack, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, would you provide your 4, please?
Okay, I come up with the BH and A. I got Catlin, Dietz and Company. And the last one was Abacus.
Okay, thank you. Teresa?
Yes, hi. Actually, this
Hi.
is in order, but not that you need that. BH and A, Dietz, Caitlin, and Kalo and Beanick.
Okay. Greg? Mr. Bendel?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I know you said don't say anything, but I'd be remiss if I didn't thank all these firms for their willingness to work with Wilmington. So I'll keep it at that.
Right.
But in no particular order, I have Catalin, BH&A, T2, and Kalo and Beanick.
Mhm. Paul?
Okay, I have Catlin, Dietz and Company, T2, and BH&A.
Wow.
No
Terry
pressure.
Marciello?
Okay, so I had no order. I have BH&A. I had EGA. I had Caitlin and Dietz.
Dietz. Okay.
And I did have a fifth one going back and forth, and I actually noticed that people also were talking about it too. But if the 4 is fine, then
Yeah, let's see what we work out, and if we need to, and because I had a 5th one also, but looking at it, I don't think we're going to need them.
mhm.
So it looks like
Is that it?
BH and A is
I think
7.
that's it.
So that's BH&A,
Yeah,
Caitlin, Dietz, and T2.
Right.
T2. Is 4.
All right. Before I proceed, does anybody have any questions? So,
Chairman?
go ahead. Sorry.
Good. I don't know if Dan, thanks for being with us. Do you have any initial reaction to those?
Mine are very similar. You can't go wrong with the 4 that you've picked. We've worked with all 4 of them, and they're all very good firms. There's a couple other firms in there that are great firms too. But I think, it's kind of, it's amazing when you take, especially in COVID, everyone separately getting their packages and coming very similar to the same conclusion. I think it says a little bit about, where you guys all want to go. A couple of things I just want to make note for you. Some of them had a lot of senior center experience. Some of them had study experience, and you picked the ones that had senior center experience. You also picked ones that had schedules in their packages.
Right.
And that was one of the things we put in the RFP is to make sure we had a schedule. We're trying to hit a September, October date so that we can have a town meeting to get the next portion of funding. And some of these firms just, it was as if they didn't even look at the RFP.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
great.
sadly, a lot of work went into to these, and I think you, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Selectman, I think you guys picked 4 great firms.
Okay, great. What I would ask of you, Dan, as the OPM, I know
Yeah.
you've done the reference checks on them.
We have.
Because we all looked through them and we did certain criteria as we put these together, but this is where your part kind of comes in.
So I'll tell you, Kalo and Beanick, West Boylston, are wonderful to work with, very responsive, pushed back on the GC when needed to, went over in detail with the members from the town on invoices to drawings, had the town's best interests at heart, gave clear, thorough presentations.
Excuse me,
We
Dan.
worked successfully with other municipal buildings,
Dan,
in town
excuse
as
me.
well.
I don't think.
Oh, you want me to do it right now?
Yeah, if you'd go through, but that was BH&A, right?
No, that was Kalo.
Okay, because we had our top 4.
Oh, were they not one of them?
No, it was
believe
Caitlin was one of them.
Oh, Caitlin, I'm sorry.
BH&A, Dietz and Company, and T2.
I'm sorry about that. I thought Kayla was one of them. T2, let's go down to T2. Hang on, I got them all here. BH&A had excellence across the board, and questions were related to communication, budget control, document quality, schedule control, and construction control. A couple of the comments on BH&A. 100-year-old building design result was beautiful. All in price, no surprises, no extras within the budget. They were always reachable, had some issues with existing conditions, but no extra fees. Difficult with a lot of construction issues with subs. Good eye for elegance. They understand how a senior center should function, knows how the functionality of ADA very well. Expectation of certificate of occupancy next month. And that was for the town of Andover, the town of Falmouth, Peter Staub. They're extremely good with communicating and their willingness to respond to the town's needs. They were a little slow in responding to submittals. Overall, the town is very pleased with them. We were on that project. They did an outstanding job. And that would be an accurate comment. Foxborough, Mark is now in the Foxborough facility, is Human Service Director of the COA. BH&A had a rep on site every day for 1.5 years. BH&A was good. We hired them twice. They are doing a study for another Foxborough facility. That's BH&A.
Okay.
Are you familiar with them also?
We did the Falmouth Senior Center with them, and I would have to say that they, they were, an A- B+.
Okay.
Okay. Their design was excellent. They were a little difficult to work with regard to some of the submittal issues that we were talking about, but nothing that caused a problem with the project. And they listened. The next one would be Catlin. Longmeadow devoted to 10 meetings and documentation. He was on schedule, but COVID delays in getting materials. John has an in-depth and breadth knowledge of what seniors' needs are, made suggestions, equipment access for sight and hearing impaired. His knowledge is unparalleled. No one compares to know what he knows about. That doesn't make sense. What senior centers should provide. The upgrade suggestions were still in budget, but provided more substantially. If you're building a senior center, he's your man. That was from Longmeadow. That center is not completed and it's a little bit behind schedule as indicated. The Holyoke Senior Center, excellence across the board. John was essential in guiding through the budget. He's intelligent, understands what the community needs. And the senior center, his designs are not cookie cutter. They are cool and innovative. He breathes new life into each project. Viewed several of his centers over the years, and his designs are based on making the community better. That was Holyoke. Belmont, Catlin, best in the field for senior centers, designs, really knows how to stay on budget. Catlin is vested in his project and is accessible even after 10 years. of the center's use, Belmont is 10 years old. Based on the center and others, he's top of the line. Their center is a tremendous asset to the community.
Small firm, wasn't it? He's a small firm.
He's a very small firm. There's only two in his firm.
And you're familiar with them also?
I did the Kingston Senior Center with John. Okay, I'm scrolling here. Dietz, right?
Yep.
Correct.
Okay, Dietz. The individual that worked on the project had no experience with senior centers and didn't visit any. Schematics were done by Court Street Architects, was very impressed with Kerry Dietz, very approachable. However, the project could not have gone smoother if it wasn't for the lack of experience with senior centers. That was the Westfield. Westfield had a rough schematic design and a very smooth construction end of it. We were on the construction end, not on the schematic design. Not to say that, that's why you saw it, Westfield, in two separate proposals. One firm actually designed it and didn't get rehired. Long Meadow Senior Center did not respond, and Cambridge Housing Authority had done several large projects with the Cambridge Housing Authority, rehab of 300 units in addition for community center, also rehab 112 units. They never went over budget, very good with design value and negotiating change orders, detail-oriented, efficient, very responsive, really good partners. I've done 3 senior centers with Dietz. All 3 of them are completely different. All 3 senior centers represent the communities they're in. One's very institutional, one's kind of a hybrid, and one's looks like a mill building in Ludlow. Ludlow opened last month. So we have a lot of experience with Dietz, and we can vouch that they're an excellent firm.
What do you think of their design and programming?
Excellent. They were a joy to work with. And when I say all 3 of them are different, they're really different. You wouldn't be able to say, oh, that's a Dietz center. They're really different. I mean, Kerry listens to what the community wants and then comes back with the design. And when the committee's members say, yuck, we hate it, they come back the next week with a new design that's completely different. You can't go wrong with any of the ones you picked so far. T2, I am looking for T2. Oh, you have no idea how many of these we did.
Well, that's why we figured we'd have you do it after we picked our list instead of.
Oh, no, we want to do it before. We didn't know whether you were going to ask for those during your deliberation. Whittier. T2, East Bridgewater Senior Center and Sterling Senior Centers. Excellence across the boards. Sizable and challenging project that transformed old farmhouse buildings into one center. Strongest attribute is their interior design and color coordinated, easy to work with, not argumentative, great communication, and 2 people on site once a week. On the Marion Townhouse, local firm who was great to work with, has built a strong relationship with them over 8 years, chooses to work with them when possible. Their office is right across the street from the Marion Town Hall. But there was no collusion when they got picked. Sterling Senior Center. Overall, they were very nice people. They lacked respect for the budget and proposed ideas and designs repeatedly that were too pricey for the budget. They did not listen great to owners' requests. The town did not want dormers for ice concerns. They were constantly pushing for dormers. Some of the change orders seemed bad, but overall not terrible. They may have thought that they had the owner's interest in heart, but the town did not feel that way. Overall rating 5 out of 10. The mechanical engineer was terrible, and the HVAC system has had a lot of problems. This is the town of Sterling. The town has spent a lot of additional money in the past few years to remediate the problems. There was also some flooring issues. The design team seemed to disappear before all the problems with the building were resolved.
Okay.
Okay?
I thank you
We
very
have
much.
also worked with T2, and we can tell you it was a positive experience.
Does anybody have any good, Greg?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Dan, thanks for that. And that actually got me scratching my head. I don't know if anybody else feels a little uncomfortable with that review. So much so that I'd almost be willing to maybe reconsider. I don't know if anybody, I put that out there. I'm really uncomfortable with that last review, but that's just my own opinion.
I would echo that,
Yeah.
you know, almost every project has a lot of problems with HVAC. It's probably the hardest thing in balancing, a building. But what concerns me is the part, they're not listening to what the client is trying to explain that they want. Now, obviously, we look towards them for advice and everything, but if they seem to be sort of fixed in that. I would kind of echo what Mr. Selectman here says, Greg, and maybe we throw in the Kalo and Beineck instead.
Well, they were actually my fifth one because I had them tied with the T2. So
Yeah.
I would not be opposed to it, and that's kind of why I structured it this way. So everybody got to look through, do their own checks, and then we got from our OPM. So
Yeah.
if everybody's comfortable with that, and
Would you like me to read Kalo's?
Yes, please,
Yes, please.
please. Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Before we go any further.
Before you
Can I
jump,
can I just ask, was that the next one in line? Was that the next one that, how?
It was.
Okay, all right. Sorry, thank you.
Okay.
Kalo and Beanick, we also are in the middle of doing a senior center addition in Marshfield with Kalo. Okay, I'll reread what I started to read. Wonderful to work with, very responsive, pushed back on GC when needed to, went over in detail everything with the members of the town, from invoices to drawings, had the town's best interest at heart, gave clear and thorough presentations, has worked successfully with other municipal buildings in town as well. Highly recommend and great to work with.
Okay, that's a good reference.
That's a good reference.
Glowing.
Mr. Chair, if I could just, I totally agree with Mrs. Allen's comments. The one that stuck out to me was, and I paraphrase and correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, but they didn't have respect for the budget. That's a big red flag for me.
Right.
I think it would be for all of us. And
I agree.
I wasn't the OPM on that, Greg. Otherwise, they would have had respect for the budget.
we didn't get a chance to reconsider you, Dan. You're being no, but I wanted to say that, clearly these are all good firms, but when we're just trying to narrow it down, you have to look at everything. And to get a
Absolutely.
recommendation like that is really concerning to me. And I don't know if we're going to be able to get past that one.
Budgetary issues, HVAC design, especially now after we're in this pandemic. I'm sure things are going to change. So
Yeah.
we want to make sure we get the best that we can get.
Yeah. Well, do you need a motion or
There is
something
one.
specific to change the way they we're gonna set them up?
We haven't taken a motion to accept these in yet, so I don't believe we
Oh.
need a motion to make a change on it. I know
Perfect.
Teresa had a question.
No, my comment was just that we don't really know what happened during that project. It could have just been a lot of people that didn't get along for some reason. But having heard that, we would be foolish not to heed it. And
Correct.
agree with the other comments made that we should perhaps not consider this firm at all.
Right. Well, like I said, they were my fifth choice. I was just trying to keep it to four, and I know a few other people had picked it also. So I'm not opposed to changing my T2 over to Kalo and Beineck.
I'd agree with you, Chairman. I also had originally voted for T2, and I'm willing to withdraw that support.
Okay, great.
I'll do the same.
All right. And Diane, you said.
Yeah,
you would
I would
also.
do the same too. Absolutely. Yes.
George.
John, would you have that reflect on your sheet, your matrix? Okay.
Are all those votes changing the Kalo?
I'm
Is that
taking-
accurate?
I'm taking my T2 and I'm moving it to Kalo.
Okay.
Paul Melorani will do the same.
Yeah,
We'll make-
and you can do the same for me, John, too.
It's unanimous.
Thanks for John Holloway too.
T2, just.
Does that look accurate?
No, you've got
Oh,
down for Jack.
Greg's missing one.
Greg, do you want to pick another firm?
Yeah, you can put me down for Kalo as well. You already have that.
I
So
think he also had Dietz. and
Oh,
Company
okay.
too, yeah.
Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, you
Oh.
just eliminated that, so.
And Jack,
Yeah,
Jack picked 5.
He had Abacus in there.
He had
Yeah.
BH&A, Caitlin, Dietz, and Abacus.
okay. And then I added Kalo based on his comment.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so that reflects what we've discussed. All right, so we will have to, the next item on our agenda is we're going to have to pick some dates to interview these. We'll set them up the same way. We'll have 2 firms in each night, so we don't run too long. They'll be for about an hour. We'll let them come and do their presentation, and then we'll ask them questions. I would ask that, sorry, go ahead,
Mr.
Dan.
Chairman?
Yeah.
How do you want me to direct them? 20 minutes for presentation?
20 minutes of presentation, and then we'll ask our questions.
Okay.
Now, I would ask everybody if they could get some questions to me, and we'll vet them out like we did before. I'll come up with a bunch, and then I will send out the 10 questions to everybody.
We have a list of questions too, Mr. Chairman. I'll share them with you.
Okay, we'll do that, and I'll make sure that it gets out to the membership. And what we'll do is just before, like we did in the meeting, we will go through them. Everyone have the opportunity to read the questions, and they'll be assigned. They can pick the questions they'd like to ask. That way there we can ask the same questions of the firms, and that'll give us a better idea of the responses. Any questions?
So
All
when
right.
Dan, can I ask a question? With Dan coming up with some questions as an OPM, should we mainly be going with, unless some of our questions are just like really extraordinary, or?
Well, what we like to do is ask the technical questions, specifically related to errors and omissions insurance, how they're working with their subcontractors. You know, the designer only is about, 30% of the work. The majority of the work is going to be their HVAC engineer, their electrical engineer, their site engineer. I want to know how they're interrelation, how many jobs they've done together. That kind of information is not in a standard form. And I want to know whether, this is the first time they've ever worked with this group. Things of that nature, technical wise. I think you guys need to ask the political questions and the questions that you're concerned with regard to maybe sites or things of that nature that I wouldn't be able to know because I just haven't been here long enough, Terry.
Yeah.
But I am quite certain that you cannot make a bad choice with the firms that you have selected. I am that confident
Oh, that's
that
good.
you're going to probably have an interview and you're all probably going to either like or dislike the personalities, the approach, the presentation quality, things of that nature. And that's one of the things that is important to me is also is how do they present? How do they present at town meeting? You know, the hardest thing we have is getting funding. So, you know, those type of questions I want to make sure that we're on top of. We'll ask some of those types of questions, but I can't answer questions like the relationship of the green to the community, the relationship of Glen Street, you know, what do you think of the existing center, things of that nature that
Right.
might be in your mind, or programmatic questions that you might have that the rest of the members might not have.
So once we develop this list of questions, I'll get them out there and we'll see if there's anything that the membership would like to add to.
Yeah, we can't deliberate by email. So,
Right.
just a reminder.
Yep.
So if you get something, you don't comment on it. It's just informational for you to read.
Mr. Chair, I think one of the keys to this is going to be trying to ferret out how the firm goes about the process of getting the town to coalesce around, you know, a certain site, because that's clearly until we can get a site. And of course, there's the other issue here being that this will be on a perhaps parallel track to the town school admin building. I think it'll be helpful to understand how the firms have gone through that process with their other clients in the past to take them from 4 or 5 sites down to, you know, the one that's the most desirable, and not only desirable, but functional and all the other elements.
That in itself is a question right there. And I, you know, I think if they're studying your meetings and they're studying the information we gave them in the RFP, they're going to know these are important factors, because, you know, your study is pretty clear about the 4 sites.
Yeah.
And I like we addressed it in our interview, we expect them to address it in their interview.
All right, like I said, we'll have the 10 questions because we go through them. By the time they explain them, we'll get to the end of our allotted time.
Okay.
Do we want to take a look at any dates that are coming up?
So this is another thing that I think is important.
Go ahead.
When we notify and when we want to have the hearing, do you want to do it quickly so that they have to work fast so we can demonstrate how quick they shift on the fly? Or do you want to give them a lot of time to think and present? It's 2 different schools of thought on how to do that.
Well, I don't mind trying to get it accomplished quickly so we can get through it. I don't know about next week for people. Today's the 15th, maybe around the 25th or 26th, we're going to have 2 dates that we need, 2 firms each. What's everybody's?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
So do we want to do 24th, 25th? I don't really, 25th, 26th. I don't.
Yeah, 25th and 26th is good with me.
That's a Thursday, Friday. I don't know how many people want to be on the meeting on a Friday night.
Mr.
Mr.
I
Chairman,
mean, it's virtual, so it's not like we're, you know, heading out the door.
This would be the highlight of the Friday night.
I just don't want to be in a heartbeat if I see Greg jumping up and down a little bit.
Go ahead, Greg. I know you had a question.
thank you. I have a conflict on the 25th, but I'm only one person, so.
I know we
yeah,
can,
So then what
Mr.
about the 24th and 26th?
we can go out the next week also. I mean, that is kind of rush, but so if you want to do.
That brings it into Greg's territory with the baby, so.
Something like.
George, just from an IT perspective, the 24th, 25th, and 26th are all terrible.
Okay, so that really.
Okay.
Here we go.
Those FinCom meetings kind of get in the way, I know that, and then you got selectmen meetings, right? So-
We'll be done after this week.
Also,
Yeah, we'll be done after this week. So as far as finance is concerned,
So the week of the 29th, you're saying is going to be a better week, John?
Yes, that would be much better, actually.
how about like the 30th and the 31st?
Those are both open.
Well, how about those nights?
Subject to
30th,
Greg's,
Yeah.
They work for me.
I'll do the best I can. You
All
guys,
right.
Okay,
Those both work for me too.
Yep,
And they all work
perfect.
with me.
Actually, the 30th, I have an issue with. The 31st, I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
I don't expect to get everybody, so,
Okay,
well, but I do think it's important to have Terry, with all due respect, I mean, I think it's important for her
the
to be
only day I
involved.
have a problem is the 30th. Any other day is fine that week.
how
How
about
about
the
the
first?
first?
Wait, the 31st. Let's do the 31st.
31st and the 1st.
31st and the 1st, that work for you, Terry?
Perfect, perfect. Sorry.
Oh, that
Yes.
works. No?
the
Works for me.
31st isn't that a Saturday?
No, it's a Wednesday.
It's a
It's a
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
What month
the
are we
third-
in? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong month.
Yeah. Wrong month.
No April Fool's jokes.
No April Fool's jokes.
Oh, can't promise that.
So what did we say? The 31st and what?
First and the first?
Yep, 31st and the 1st.
Okay.
That does give us some time. Dan will go over some questions, so.
Yeah,
George, did you-
I'll give you a call on that, and we can walk through our standard list, and we can say yay and nay to them.
All right, so let's discuss a time. So if we meet at 6, we need a few minutes so we can go over the questions. We've done it before, and then start the interview process. So why don't we still plan on meeting at 6 o'clock? And then we'll have about 15 minutes to go over all the questions and then assign them. We won't have to do that the second night because we've already have done that.
Mhm.
And then we'll move on.
So the first interview will be at 6:15.
Correct.
Second interview will be at 7:15. The following day, the first interview at 6, and the second interview at 7.
Okay. Does that sound okay to everybody?
with the
That would
vote.
be-
on the
Did we
floor.
pick those dates?
31st and the 1st.
So there are two on both. I'm so sorry. So there's two on both of those dates. Okay.
Correct.
On each day.
We would like a little break period in between also, Dan, so if somebody
All right,
wants to.
so we'll do 6:15 and 7:30,
Yep.
Okay.
and then we'll do 6 o'clock and 7:15.
Perfect.
Okay?
George,
Do you want me to do the order by alphabet, reverse alphabet, pull them out of a hat?
Alphabet's fine. Why don't you pull it out and make it easy? Yeah,
All
do
right, pull
that.
it out of a hat,
Yeah.
okay?
Mr. Chairman, just to back up, we never took a vote to accept the 4 firms.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to accept the 4 firms.
So moved.
Second,
Second,
Paul Malorani with the motion. Who did the second?
Teresa.
Terry.
Lisa Manganelli on the.
No, I didn't. Terry Maciel.
Terry did? Terry did? Okay.
Terry Masiello on the second. Thank you very much. All in favor, take a roll call vote. George Hooper, aye.
aye.
Diane Allen, aye.
Teresa Manganelli, aye.
Paul Millerani, aye.
Jack Holloway, aye.
Terry Marciello, aye.
Rover, aye.
Greg Mendel, aye.
Great. Thank you very much. All right, do we have any members of the public, John? I guess not. So we don't have any public comment?
Mr. Chair, we do have a caller on the line. Caller, if you wish to speak, please hit *9 on your telephone keypad. No indication, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. Any other comments or questions before I entertain my next motion?
Mr. Chairman, I think just, if it's okay with you, through you, last time I think we sent a letter of thanks to each of the other firms. So could we do that as well?
Yes, we can.
Thank you.
And just one last comment, George, I would like to make that, this type of input that we get from our OPM, Dan, tonight is going to continue to be important to us as we go through this process. And I want to thank him very much. And I think he does his homework and very happy to work. I think we made a great selection here.
Great.
Thank you.
Sorry?
I also wanted to say the same in the sense that Dan was able to respond with those references. That was very helpful. And then in turn, Greg was able to respond as to the need of going on to the next one. And I think that was just a great case of how helpful and the teamwork all the way. So I think that was great.
Mhm. There's been a lot of communication back and forth with our OPM, so it's very
Good.
good. All right. Anybody else? All right, at this point, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Before you do the motion, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
would you like me to notify the firms in the morning?
Yes, please.
Okay, will do.
Terry, Teresa, you're, put your video on, you're mute.
Sorry about that. I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Teresa Manganelli, and second by Greg Bendel. All right, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank
Get a
you.
vote.
Thank
Get
you
a
all.
vote.
Thank you, thank
I
you.
will see some of you later.
George,
Do we need to
George.
take a roll?
you get a vote
We got to vote.
Oh, yeah, all in
Gotta
favor
vote.
of adjourn?
by
Roll
person.
call.
Aye.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Oh, roll
George
call.
Hooper, aye.
Diane Allen, aye.
Teresa Manganelli, aye.
Terry Marciello, aye.
Greg
Paul
Bendel.
Malorani, aye.
Greg Bendel, bye.
See you soon, Greg.
Jack Holloway. All right.
All right,
Thank you very
thanks,
much.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you, Dan. Thank
Bye-bye.
you, George.
Diane, I was kidding, by the way, earlier.
No
I'll-
cookies for you.
Take care.
Take care, John. Thank you, dear.
Bye.
Bye.